The fix of the fix. It was a cold, windy day in December. It had roughly been 2 weeks since Mike failed his driver's test and got arrested by the police for, stealing his mom's car and stalking his dad playing video games. His parents were feeling nice, so they ended his month-long grounding early and decided to give him his phone back. The time was 6 in the morning. Mike's alarm was currently in the process of going off, but Mike was still sound asleep. "Mike!" his mom shouted from downstairs. Mike had school that day, so his mom was currently in the process of packing her son's lunch before leaving for work.
"I'm up, Mom, I'm up,"
Mike shouted back. But this is a blatant lie. Mike was not up, but rather was still lying in bed. His alarm clock then went off yet again. "Mike!" his mom yelled.
"Coming, bitch."
"What did you just call me? Do I need to take your phone again?"
"No."
Mike lied in bed for about 15 more minutes before groggily rolling out of his bed sheets and onto the floor like a mummy. He groaned to himself. He then stood up and tossed his sheets onto his bed. He never made that bed. Mike then slumped his way over to his closet and put together his fit for the day, which involved a pair of green Crocs for shoes, a tan in color pair of too tight chinos for pants, along with a white tight t-shirt. He also wore a cheap chain around his neck so as to impress his longtime crush, Monica. He was in a good mood that day, and so he wanted to show off his muscles by wearing something a little more revealing. Here's the thing though, Mike doesn't have any muscle. He's quite out of shape and has terrible posture as well. That tight white t-shirt made his little pudge look not so little. This is only accentuated by him being constantly hunched over all the time. Mike then headed on over to the bathroom and applied some deodorant. It was the Gillette brand, the kind that is see-through and that looks like alien guts. Mike then brushed his teeth and did his hair. Like I said, he was in a good mood that day, so he decided to actually style his hair for once. He then took out some hair gel from the drawer beneath the sink and rubbed it into his messy black hair. He repeated this action until his hair was all the way slicked back. He thought that he looked sharp that day, but that was debatable. He doused himself some Gillette body spray before heading downstairs. Mike groggily walked into the kitchen where he found his mom.
"Okay, Mike, here's your lunch. Do not buy from the lunch line today. If you do, I'm taking your phone and your Xbox." "I won't,"
Mike replied.
"Oh, and also, I got an email last night from your guidance counselor, Mr. AWOL. He said he needed to have a conference meeting with us tonight at 7 p.m. sharp," his mom mentioned.
"Look," replied Mike. Mike's mom then left for work. Mike grabbed a can of pizza-flavored Pringles for breakfast and consumed the entire thing before reluctantly leaving for school afterwards. Mike's still wet hair from the hair gel made the cold winter wind feel even colder as Mike walked through the drafty corridors of the Wookdale village on his way to school. As of right now, he was regretting wearing the tight white t-shirt to school, as he was freezing. He had to wear it though, as today was finally the day he planned to pull his crush, Monica, away from that toxic scumbag, Bryce, and get her to be his girlfriend instead. Today was that day, or so he thought. Mike puffed up his chest and rolled his shoulders back with invisible lat syndrome as he strolled in through the high school doors. His confidence was very short-lived, however, when his guidance counselor, Mr. Awalt, caught sight of him. Mr. Awalt was a tall, muscular man in his 50s. He was also a man who meant serious business. He crooked his eyebrow as he looked at Mike. He then pulled him to the side by doing the "come here" motion with his finger. Mike immediately became nervous. Mr. Awalt pulled Mike aside to the side of the hallway and had a quick chat with him about his grades. "So Mike, I shot your mom a quick email last night about your grades. As you might know, you're now failing all of your classes. Even gym. A few weeks ago, your grades were still bad. You had a few D's and even a C, but I don't know what happened between then and now. Anyway, you are in serious danger of not being able to graduate this year if your grades don't improve. As you know, you, your mom, and I will be having a conference in my office tonight at 7 p.m. sharp. There, I will spill the beans to your mom about your graduation situation." "Go," Mike replied for the second time that day. The time was now around 7:25 in the morning, and so Mike decided to head to his first block class, which we already know is Spanish with Senora Harrington. Mike strolled into class and took his seat. "Okay, everybody, today we'll be continuing work on our dialogue projects. They're due this Friday, so get busy." Mike did not get busy though. As of the current moment, his mind was too wrapped up in the thought of not graduating. He didn't care about school, but at the same time, the thought of another year at Wookdale High School sent shivers up his spine. He already determined the fact that he wasn't going to do his work, meaning his bad grades would never be fixed. But he'd worry about his grades and his graduation dilemma later. For now, he needed to come up with a plan to make sure his mom didn't find out about the information on him not graduating. Mike spent the entirety of Spanish class just thinking. He obviously wasn't thinking about Spanish like he should have been, but rather, he was half thinking about his plan about the Mr. AWOL conference, and half daydreaming about his crush, Monica. Both were unproductive. The end of class is nearing, and Mike had now devised a plan to make sure his mom is unable to attend the conference with Mr. AWOL. It sounded something like this. First, Mike would go home from school and wait until his mom got home from work. Once his mom got home, he would hope that she had forgotten about the conference and suggest for her to go to like the home goods store instead, as Mike's mom is well known for being into nice looking furniture and appliances. He would time that so it would take place during the time slot in which he and his mom were scheduled to go to that conference. He thought it would be as simple as that, but we'll see. First block ended, and next it was time for Mike to head on over to statistics and probability with Mr. Fry. Mike took his front row seat and got focused. At least, this is what he would ideally be doing. We already know that oftentimes, reality doesn't quite live up to the expectations, especially when it comes to people like Mike. He, instead, got focused in on something else, and that something else was, you guessed it, TikTok.
Ain't no way bro's wearing that to school,
He thought to himself.
That outfit doesn't even match.
I guess Mike was a bit of an ironic kind of guy though, or he simply had zero self-awareness, as his green Crocs with chinos weren't exactly matching too well either. Okay everybody, welcome back to class. As y'all already know, our summative assessment for the semester will be on Friday, so I ask all of you to take out your study guides for some review. Mr. Fry announced to the class as he switched on the screen projector. Oh boy, Mike was not prepared for this. The summative assessment was like a final exam for his stat and prop class. It'd be roughly 100 questions, be over 65% of his grade, and would cover every single topic from day one of the semester all the way up until then. That is about 4 months of content. 4 months of content, however, that Mike had not studied once for. He knew nothing. He had failed all his previous quizzes and tests in that class, and never did his homework or paid any attention either. Let's just say that he was beyond fucked for when Friday rolled around. Keep in mind that, as of then, his grade in that class is only at a 34%. That's how little he did his work. Mike, it's time to put the phone away. I know you're struggling in this class a bit, so I do recommend you pay attention, Mr. Fry told Mike. He knew what was up. Mike didn't listen though. He continued scrolling through TikTok, only now using his phone undercover. He got his study guide out and also took out his school Chromebook. He used that as a shield, so as Mr. Fry couldn't see his phone. Occasionally, he'd pretend to write some notes on his study guide paper to try and have Mr. Fry fooled. He would just have to hope that Mr. Fry didn't make any rounds around the classroom and see his paper, as all Mike had written was complete gibberish. It wasn't even any numbers or words, just squiggles. Though, to be honest, Mr. Fry likely knew that Mike still wasn't paying attention. He just didn't bother nagging about it anymore. He had a class to teach and a living to make. Mike was not on top of his list of priorities, and I don't at all blame him. Anyway, Mike was still scrolling through his phone when he suddenly received a Snapchat message from some girl. Her name was Joyce, and Mike thought she was pretty cute based on her Bitmoji and was hooked. Don't get it twisted, she was no Monica in Mike's eyes, but he was going through a bit of a dry spell at that moment in time, although I think he always is, and figured he could try to get a rotation, quote-unquote, of girls going, just like he sees the Playboys on TikTok doing. Mike and Joyce then got into a pretty flirty conversation, and here it was. Hey cutie, you go to Wokedale, right? Mike immediately started blushing.
Yeah, I do. I go to Wokedale.
It was weird how Mike was still stuttering, even over text. I guess this just goes to show how nervous he gets. I know you do. I've been seeing you in the halls, and you just look so hot with those sexy biceps of yours. I want to touch them, especially on days like today, when you're wearing that tight white t-shirt. Mike blushed some more. His confidence also went skyrocketing. He glanced down at his non-existent bicep and gave it a kiss. The people sitting next to him looked at him super weirdly and for good reason. Mike then looked back to his friend, Ty, who also happened to be in his class, and got his attention by throwing a paper airplane up at him, though that paper airplane also happened to be his now crinkled up study guide. Not a wise choice on Mike's end. Ty happened to be sitting next to his friend, Brody. They were both hunched over Ty's phone, giggling to themselves like little girls, but looked up once Mike got their attention. Yo, Mike silently mouthed. I scored a baddie. Ty and Brody laughed some more. Nice, Ty whispered back. Mike then continued his conversation with Joyce.
So, Joyce, do you maybe want to go, see the movie sometime?
Cut the nonsense, Mike. I think you're so hot and I want to see more. I was thinking we get to something a little more spicy.
What? What is it, Joyce? I want to know.
Mike's heart was racing now. You know, I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Deal.
Mike then exited Snapchat, but Joyce said some more words. Wait, Mike, it was a joke. I'm a catfish. Don't actually send it. I'm Ty. But it was too late. Mike did not see that last message from Joyce, quote unquote, because he had already closed the Snapchat app. He was ready to send it. You know what I'm talking about. He was getting ready to send the all-fabled dick pic. He couldn't just whip off his pants in the middle of Mr. Fry's stat and prob class, however. He needed to go somewhere private.
Hey, Mr. Fry?
Yes, Mike, what do you need? Mr. Fry replied, obviously flustered that Mike had interrupted his lesson plan.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Make it quick, Mike. Make it quick. Mike grabbed his phone and left his seat. He signed out, took the bathroom pass, and headed on off to the bathroom. As of then, his confidence was through the roof, but his heart felt like it was about to leap out of his chest at the same time. I guess he was pretty nervous about taking this quite dirty picture of his. I'm not going to waste any more time. Mike walked into the bathroom and into a stall. There was one other dude taking a piss in the urinal, but Mike thought nothing of it. This was a huge mistake, however, as when Mike went to pull down his pants and take the pic of his Tic Tac, the sound of the flash echoed throughout the silent bathroom, as Mike forgot to silence his ringer. Now, the dude using the urinal was brought about to attention of the dirty business taking place in the stall next to him. Oh yeah, and while Mike was at it, he took a screenshot of his pic just for the romantic high school memories to look back on when he was rich and famous in the future.
Oh shit,
Mike whispered to himself as the flash echoed through the bathroom. Mike didn't waste any more time. He clicked send on the picture, pulled up his pants, and exited the stall. He pulled the collar of his tight white t-shirt over his head so the other dude wouldn't recognize him. This made Mike look like a dumbass. Anyway, Mike strolled back into Mr. Fry's classroom and took his seat. It felt like a 500-pound weight had just been lifted off his shoulders, now that the pic had been sent. However, just to be sure, he whipped his phone back out and opened up Snapchat. He clicked on the Joyce icon and saw that his dirty snap was still sending. This wasn't at all surprising, as those school bathrooms have the cell service equivalent to the middle of the ocean. But now that he was back in the regular classroom, the snap went through. Mike smirked to himself in satisfaction, though that sense of accomplishment was immediately destroyed when, as soon as the snap to Joyce went through, the sound of a Snapchat notification from Ty's phone in the back broke the studious silence in Mr. Fry's classroom. Mike then realized he had been catfished. Mike panicked. He went onto the Joyce contact on Snapchat and was panicked to find that Ty had already opened the snap.
What the fuck, Mike? Why did you send me a dick pic? You weird-ass motherfucker. It was a joke, bro. A joke.
The entire class then directed their attention towards Mike, who was now just sitting in his chair, trying to look chill and relaxed, but was awkward and was super embarrassed as well. Mike, that's inappropriate. Go to the principal's office, Mr. Fry said. The entire class burst into laughter as Mike walked out of the classroom. In the principal's office, Mike was suspended for a week, and the front office called his mom too, so she could come and pick up her son. You know, I know that Mike was in the wrong and everything for sending inappropriate pictures to people at school, but now that I think back on it, why did Ty catfish Mike to get a dick pic in the first place? And why did he open that snap? Something just isn't adding up here about Ty now, is it? Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Anyway, Mike proceeded to awkwardly sit in the principal's office for the next 10 minutes. The only sound the one could hear was the ticking of the clock, along with the sporadic rhythm of the principal typing away on his computer as he stressfully sipped his coffee. The walls in the front office were also paper thin, meaning Mike could hear the sound of Mr. Awalt chatting on the phone with his mom about what had just happened back in Mr. Fry's class. A dick pic, Mrs. Whistle. A dick pic, Mr. Awalt confirmed. Just then, a secretary came inside the office to spill the news to Mike. Mike, your mom's here. Mike stood up, put both hands in his chino pockets, and awkwardly shuffled his way out of the office and into the cold wind. He looked super weird and out of place wearing that tight white t-shirt. Mike caught sight of his mom waiting for him in her green Nissan Cube. She didn't even look up at Mike when he entered the car. That's just how pissed she was. Come on, we're going home. Mike and his mom then sped off down the road before they promptly made a left turn into the Wookdale village where they lived. They then pulled into the driveway of their townhouse.
Go inside, Mike. You are in big trouble. You made me get all the way off work just to pick you up from school for doing something inappropriate,
his mom screamed. Mike knew he had fucked up. Mike went inside whilst his mom sped back off to go back to work, as it was only 10 in the morning. Initially, Mike was ecstatic.
Yes, my mom went back to work and now I get to stay home alone. Seems like the suspension won't be so bad after all. More like a vacay suspension.
But little did Mike know, however, was just how wrong he would be. For the rest of the morning and into the afternoon, Mike partied. He watched TikTok, binge-watched Netflix, ate junk food, as well as partook in some quite inappropriate acts in which I'm not going to mention. I'm trying to keep this story PG-13 at most, after all. Anyway, the day was going great for Mike's standards.
I guess all it takes is for someone to send a pic of their massive dong to be given a free vacation,
he thought to himself, whilst he munched on an entire sleeve of Oreos. The time was around 3 in the afternoon now, and Mike was currently in the process of making his way over to the front window of his house, as he heard the sound of an automobile stopping in the front.
That must be those whoopie cream pies I ordered earlier,
Mike said to himself. And no, I am not talking about the food. It wasn't the whoopie cream pies, however, or any service delivery guy of sorts. Rather, it was his dad arriving home early from work.
Oh shit,
Mike exclaimed as he booked it up to his room and locked his door. It seemed like his fun day of vacay-spension had now come to an end. Mike was then able to hear the sound of his dad opening the front door, stepping inside, and dropping his briefcase off near the closet. Hey Mike, how's school? he asked. It had seemed that Mike's dad was currently unaware of Mike's suspension situation.
Good, Dad. Good.
Mike replied nervously. That's good, buddy, that's good. Hey, listen, Mom's apparently stuck in some really bad traffic on her way home from work right now, so it'll likely just be us on our own tonight. Oh, remember, we gotta leave for that Mr. AWOL conference at 6:45 sharp, so don't forget, his dad told him. Mike replied for the third time that day. Mike spent the next hour in his room, panicking to himself. He could not let his dad go to that conference with Mr. AWOL, for not only will he, aka Mr. AWOL, spill the news to his dad about his graduation situation, but he will also tell his dad about him getting suspended for sending the dick pic. Mike had to come up with a plan to prevent his dad from going to the conference. He knew his mom is easily distracted and could have used the home goods store idea as a way of distracting her, but as we already know, Mike's mom wasn't the one he had to devise a plan for now. It was his dad, and he is far more difficult to get distracted than his mom is. Around 4:15 that afternoon, Mike had finally devised a sort of plan to make sure that Mr. AWOL conference would not be happening. He knew that there was no use in trying to make his dad not go, but he figured that he could stop Mr. AWOL from going to the conference.
We can't have the conference if Mr. AWOL can't even show up,
Mike thought to himself. Mike had no clue where Mr. AWOL lived, not that he could drive there anyway. And so, he decided that he had to find a way to prevent him from getting back to the school for the conference.
Hey, Dad, I'm going outside for a walk,
he told his dad, who was now sitting on the couch. He read the newspaper whilst he sipped his cup of afternoon joe. Well, Mike, it's great to see you finally taking some initiative and getting some exercise. Enjoy, he replied. But Mike wasn't going for just any old walk, however. He threw on his hoodie and stepped out into the bitter cold December wind. He stuffed his hands into his chino pockets and shuffled his way through the Wookdale village before heading into a patch of scraggly woods down the hill. Whilst Mike was in the woods, he grabbed a bunch of dead branches and sticks from off the ground before dragging them back up the hill. He put his hood up so as no one would recognize him carrying some random branches through the rows of townhouses. 5 minutes later, and Mike had reached his destination, Preakle Head Drive. He then took the branches and sticks and began work on his Mr. AWOL barricade. The idea was that his barricade of rotten tree branches would stop any car from passing and getting into the high school, including Mr. AWOL's car. And so he got to work. Luckily, no cars came through whilst Mike was building, though. One car did come through, however, and it was not Mr. AWOL. Rather, it was somebody else. Mike? What are you doing out here, champ? A voice said as the window of a sleek green Lamborghini rolled down, revealing a fit and muscular Chad-looking dude wearing a white turtleneck sweater. He looked as if he was heading out for a romantic date or something. It was Bryce, with his girlfriend, aka Mike's crush, Monica, sitting right next to him in the passenger seat.
Bryce, what are you doing out here?
I was just heading to pick up my bae. We're going to see the new live-action Peter Pan movie in theaters tonight. Want to join us? It was true. The new Peter Pan movie was indeed airing on that very evening. It was in 3D and was one of Mike's favorite movies, as much as he wanted to see it, especially with Monica. For once, however, Mike made the correct decision and told Bryce no. He despised Bryce, and besides, he had bigger things to do at the moment than seeing his favorite movie with his crush. Although, that is something extremely high on his list of priorities. And that says something. Though for now, he had to finish blockading the road so that Mr. AWOL could not get to that conference. He was locked in.
Beat it, Brycey boy. I am a man of purpose and virtue, and I have way more important things to attend to than to be associating with scumbags like you.
Oh, okay then, champ. I'll catch you at school tomorrow, but I'm gonna need you to clear these sticks real quick so Monica and I can continue on our romantic date. It was just then that Mike had realized he had built the barricade on the wrong side of the road. Instead of blocking the people coming into the school, he was blocking those coming out of the school. He didn't waste any more time. He began to pick up the sticks out of the one side of the road and move them to the other side, though he was too late, as just then, Mr. AWOL sped by in his vintage-style Rolls Royce.
Oh shit,
Mike uttered to himself. Anyway, Mike finished clearing up the branches from the road. Bryce and Monica then drove off. Mike's initial plan had failed. He wasn't giving up yet, though. He had a plan B. He would need to wait until the actual time of the conference to execute it, though. Mike strolled on back into his townhouse with his head down in defeat. The time was around 5:15 in the evening when Mike walked back inside. His spirits rose a bit, though, when he smelled the inviting scent of basil, combined with the savory smell of tomato sauce coming from the kitchen. Hey, buddy, dinner is just about ready, his dad mentioned. It appeared that Mike's dad had made Mike's favorite meal, which is his all-too-famous whistle-style spaghetti and meatballs, along with garlic bread as well. Mike walked into the kitchen without taking his shoes off inside. He sat down at the table and he and his dad ate. It's pretty awkward on Mike's end, you know, with the conference right around the corner and all. Though the spaghetti tasted pretty good, as Mr. Whistle was quite the chef indeed. I'm looking forward to this conference now, Mike. Something tells me you've been working really hard in school now. So, I expect to hear lots of positive feedback from Mr. AWOL, his dad said. Replied Mike, spaghetti dangling from his mouth. Mike and his dad finished eating dinner and got ready to head to the conference, as the time was now nearing 6:45 in the evening, and it was all the way dark outside now in the Woketail village. Mike went upstairs to his bedroom, as he needed to grab a few items that he would need for his plan B. Those items included a Snickers candy bar, a thumbtack, a fart bomb, as well as a giant white bedsheet. He stowed away all his gear inside of an old leather guitar case from when he used to take guitar lessons as a little kid. The plan with all these items was to be able to distract Mr. AWOL / create enough of a disturbance so that the conference would be canceled, therefore preventing his parents from finding out about his suspension, as well as his graduation situation as well. Ready to leave, buddy? Mike's dad said from downstairs.
Yep.
Mike shuffled down the stairs, guitar case slung around his back. It appeared that his dad was already waiting for him in the car outside. Mike was able to slide his bulky guitar case into the back seat without his dad noticing, luckily, as his dad was a quite avid fan of the game, Clash of Clans.
Oh, Bill, I requested level 9 wizards, not level 5,
he said to himself. Just then, Mike and his dad backed out of the driveway and sped down Preaglehead Drive towards the high school. There wasn't a single car in the cold and empty parking lot, except for the signature-style Rolls-Royce, which belonged to none other than Mr. AWOL, likely waiting for Mike inside, in his office.
Okay, Mike, let's see what this is all about,
mentioned Mike's dad as he locked the car up. The two of them then began heading towards the school. The cold December wind was out more fiercely than ever before on that cold, lonely night of the Mr. AWOL conference. Inside the school, all the hallways were obviously empty. Mr. AWOL was likely the only staff member in the school at that moment. The walk down the Main Street hallway was pretty awkward, but soon, Mike and his dad made it to the door of the guidance offices, towards the back of the school. I guess Mr. AWOL heard them enter, because he then said some words, although he couldn't actually be seen yet from the angle they were at.
You two can come on back here and take a seat.
Mike then realized he had forgotten his guitar case of gear back in the car. His entire plan would be ruined without it, and so he made an attempt to run back to grab it.
Hey, Dad, can I possibly run back outside to the car and grab something I forgot?
No, Mike. This conference shouldn't take long. Whatever you need can wait.
Fuck,
Mike thought to himself. He still had one thing, though, that might come in clutch later. He was relieved to find that he still had the fart bomb in the back pocket of his too tight chinos. Just then, Mike and his dad rounded the corner and stepped into Mr. AWOL's office. It was very blandly decorated. It had all sorts of signs on the walls that said things like, excuse limit, 0 miles per hour, and pass with hard work on them. Sayings of these kind were like kryptonite to Mike. In front of Mr. AWOL's expensive ebony desk were 2 cheap plastic chairs that were super uncomfortable to sit on. Mr. AWOL, on the other hand, sat in a premium, comfy leather roller chair imported from Detroit. He had the comfy headrest part on it and all. It kind of looked like the chair from that one SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob and the crew were playing the roles of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy in the Mermalair, and that one chief guy gave them instructions.
Mike, Mr. Whistle,
good evening. You two can feel free to take a seat now. As you already know, we have quite a lot to talk about involving Mike and all, Mr. AWOL said as he pulled up some files on his computer. Just then, Mike went to sit down. He had forgotten, though, about the fart bomb still in the back pocket of his too tight chinos. He had also forgotten about the fact that the fart bomb was specifically designed in the factory to be activated by pressure. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. The loudness of the fart bomb went off with sheer thunder. The next few seconds were a blur. The entirety of Mr. AWOL's office was filled with a dense, foggy green gas. Mike's dad had made the mistake of closing the door behind him upon entering, therefore transforming Mr. AWOL's office into a full-on gas chamber. The smell was like the grim reaper of it all, though. Mr. AWOL had no gas masks in his office, so they were all forced to face the fumes head on. Turns out, a few weeks prior to then, Mike had ordered an extremely expensive fart bomb online. The real question was, why did he buy it? If we go back in Mike's search history, we can see that the fart bomb cost over $250 of his parents' stolen money. It did its job really well too, as Mike, Mike's dad, and Mr. AWOL all sprang up from their seats and made a beeline to the door. The green fart haze made it an extremely difficult scramble to unlock. Once they did unlock it, though, they all collapsed out into the hallway of the guidance office, gasping for air and coughing up a storm at the same time.
Oh, what on earth did you eat earlier, Mike?
Mr. AWOL demanded, still coughing. Now extremely embarrassed, Mike replied,
It wasn't me, it was just my bomb.
What? Mr. AWOL and Mike's dad both exclaimed in unison. Upon hearing the word bomb on school grounds, the police arrived on scene. I had no idea how they were able to arrive that fast, honestly. Mike was arrested and taken to the police station, where his dad had picked him up 5 minutes later. Mr. AWOL ended up spilling the beans to his dad anyway about the suspension, as well as the information about his son being in danger of not graduating as well. Let's just say the car ride home with his dad is pretty awkward for Mike. His dad then yelled at him when they got home.
Mike, how dare you send inappropriate pictures to people at school and get suspended? Your grades are bad too. Go to your room. You're grounded.
Mike did just that. He unenthusiastically made his way upstairs to his room before he simply scrolled on TikTok for the rest of the night, like always. When will Mike change his ways? When? When will he just do things the right way for once and stop being so lazy? Man, I guess we'll never know. That then concludes the fix of the fix.